And I know some of you are going to be like, there's no way to say that word as a white person and have it not be in a racist context. I'm sorry, but I've heard too many black people give too many white and non-black people N-word passes for me to really buy that.
That's the exception. I'm the rule. Everybody I know who's married right now, they're married to broke niggas.
But if I get on here and say that, but if I get on here and say that, then she made a follow-up video saying how she don't care, how she don't give one.
Well, get used to it because you're the ones that love rewarding what you consider bad behavior, and then you wonder why it continues to happen. What's up, everybody? Ty Rivera here, the absolute best LGBTQ comedian in the world. Before we get started, I'm just going to ask, as always, that you like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to comment just to help me on the algorithm, but you don't know what to comment, just leave a knife, because I don't know who's going to come for my neck on this one, but someone is definitely going to come for my neck. So here's the deal, you guys. I wanted to talk about this the first time I saw it a couple of days ago, but then I decided to let it shake out and kind of see what happens with it and where it goes, because I think that situations like this are interesting, and I'm going to ask that you guys do not shoot the messenger, because for those of you who aren't familiar, what I bleeped was this woman, her name is Lily Lee, saying broke ass N-words. And originally I was alerted to this by the black blogs. It was either the Shade Room or Neighborhood Talk, which are two of the black blogs that have Instagram presence. And the first thing I did was immediately go to the comments, because if you guys aren't familiar with the black blogs, or what they call black Instagram or black Twitter, which are still the same as the regular, it's just what they call that side of those platforms, they always have the best comment section. Like, the way black people on the black blogs comment is always the best. It's always the funniest, and I always know I'm going to be entertained. But I was interested to see where everybody was at on this, because I know where I'm at on these kind of situations. And for me, I got to be honest, I just don't care. And it's not about racism or anything like that. It really just is about the fact that people have gotten so carried away by being offended by everything. And I make the content that I make about LGBT and stuff like that because I know that my community is very guilty of it. And I really am just tired of being expected to be offended every time everybody else is offended, when I myself don't even have a lot of triggers. Actually, I don't know that I have any triggers left at this point. I've been doing stand-up for so long, and I'm so used to the way the internet works, and I'm so used to people just saying whatever they feel. And I live in Austin, Texas, which a lot of people will tell you is like the San Francisco of Texas. What people forget is this is still Texas. So people talk the way they talk, and you can get offended if you want to. But one of the things I love about living in Texas is that people here are very much about freedom of speech. First Amendment is very much alive. So a Second Amendment, to tell you the truth. But First Amendment is very much alive in Texas. So you just get used to people saying whatever they say, and it is what it is. So if this woman, because I'll play the full video. Let's do it that way. I'll play the full video so you guys can get context of what she was saying and exactly the way it went down. Because I think that also the way that TikTok edits it lends itself to not having context and not knowing exactly what she's saying. So let's do that first.
Okay, this time I have a beef with the male community. I give my criticisms to all because we are all about equity and inclusion here, right? So I'm sick and tired of all girls getting blamed, or like guys, certain guys, thinking that all girls are gold diggers. I don't know if it's because you get your information from those street interviews in like Miami at 3 a.m. outside of a nightclub. You're getting the opinion of some dumb whores.
Okay, change my mind. As a lifelong member of the dumb whore community, I am not having it. My mother was a dumb whore. My grandmothers on both sides were dumb whores. I have 3 sisters. They're dumb whores. All of my friends are dumb whores. I cannot listen to this dumb whore slander.
And immigrants fresh off the boat looking for a green card.
Which I saw some people get offended and say that it's extremely racist of her to use the term fresh off the boat. But if you know any people that are fresh off the boat, they're usually fine with the term fresh off the boat. A lot of times they're called fobs. Well, that's what they call them as far as Filipinos go. And I know a lot of Filipinos that just use that term fob all the time. Nobody really cares about it. So I really feel like what's happening right now with a lot of this video, and I'm not speaking for the N-word part, we'll get to that in a little bit, but when it comes to the other parts of it, I really feel like it's white people getting offended for other people, because they were like, she's talking about immigrants, and it's like, okay, well, the term fob isn't really that big a deal. Why do I care? Why does anybody care? They don't.
Yes, they are probably gold diggers, but that's the exception. I'm the rule. Everybody I know who's married right now, they're married to broke ass niggas.
Okay, so that's the part everybody was offended about. And to me, the only thing that's cringeworthy about it is that she clearly doesn't hang out with any black people and doesn't know how to actually say that word the street way. Even with the A and not the ER, she still says it in a cringeworthy way. So if I were to be annoyed with anything, it would just be the fact that obviously this isn't the way that you speak in regular life, or that would just roll off the tongue like it does for all my black friends. Because when your black friends say it, it does sound completely different. It doesn't sound like that cheesy white girl type of speak that she's doing right now, but it is what it is.
And they don't care. We don't give a about your money. I couldn't care less about your money, okay? My type is broke mechanics and surfer hippie dudes who just want to live in a shack and surf and have babies. All I ask of a man is that you're competent, you're not a pussy. If somebody broke into our house at 3 a.m., you would know how to grab a gun and shoot a motherfucker. That's pretty much all we ask. Like, that's pretty much like all girls I know. I don't know one girl who's a gold digger. So stop throwing us all under the bus as if we're all gold diggers, because we don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about your money. My dating history consists of all broke guys. I actually don't even like rich guys. They have an attitude. They're spoiled brats. They don't know anything about real life. I was raised on a farm with 4 brothers, so I can't deal with the bullshit. I don't like a pussy. I hate pussies. So stop with the gold digger. Stop.
So that was the video that everybody was so up in arms about. And I've always said people don't get mad at what you say. They get mad at the fact that you won't apologize. And that's what everybody got mad about with her. They got mad about the fact that she just refused to apologize. And a lot of people were upset. So she put out her version of an apology and people really didn't like it.
So a recent video of mine seems to have upset members of a certain community. And all the backlash just really made me, just really do a deep dive, like do a soul search. And after all that, I still couldn't find a care.
You're going to call us racist? You're going to call us potential Timothy McVeighs? F*** you. War.
And so at the end of that video, there's a quote from Larry Flint that said, if the First Amendment is intended to protect anything, it's intended to protect offensive speech. If you're not going to offend anybody, you don't need protection. And of course, right-wing media and alternative media latched onto this girl because they saw potential for a new face that's actually a nice face. She's a pretty girl. And if you watch any of the interviews with her, she is well-spoken, even though she's clearly not media savvy. I've seen people saying that she's possibly a plant or a psyop, and I don't know enough about conspiracy theories to really know if somebody's a psyop or not, but to me she just appears to be an everyday girl that said something that she thought was going to be silly in a video, and then once it became a big deal, she saw an opportunity to capitalize on it, because people are tired of having to apologize about things that they're not necessarily sorry for or don't even see as really a problem.
So after the N-bomb drop, you dropped this video. What made you drop that video? And in the video you stated, you just can't find a care.
Well, I think it's really stupid when people make apology videos after something comes out. I'm not sorry at all because I didn't do anything wrong. I have Like didn't mean that in a racial way, so it wasn't even wrong in that way. And then even if I meant it in the worst way possible, I'm still allowed to say that and I don't feel sorry for it. So,
and it's true. Even if she did mean it that way, that's her right. So people can be mad about it, but
basically that was just a fuck you to people who want to tell you what to do.
and that's what's pissing everybody off, is instead of apologizing, she's just saying fuck you. And people have gotten used to people bowing down. So she's saying, I don't care that I lost my job. I don't care that people are mad at me. I'm going to say what I'm going to say, and you guys can live with it or not live with it.
Like, don't tell me to apologize. I'm not going to apologize for something I'm not sorry for.
And I know that some people really do see that as a problem. People more in my age demographic. I'm Gen X. And I'll tell you guys, the way that I feel about these things is let the young kids slug it out. If they have a problem with it, then let them deal with that. If they don't have a problem with it, then let them not deal with that. Because what I've noticed, and being a stand-up comedian, a lot of the open micers and newer comedians are young, within her age range. She's 25 years old. And so in that generation, which I believe would be Gen Z, they really don't have the same sensibilities that we as the older generations do. They don't have the same connection with that word. They don't assign the same value to it. And I know some of you will be like, well, what about Jim Crow? And what about slavery? And hey guys, I hate to tell you, but it isn't our world anymore. I mean, we can let people know when we think things are really sliding off the rails, but as far as language policing goes, that is all done. A lot of people are tired of that because it got worn out between 2015 and I would say about 2022. Right after we were through with the whole pandemic situation, I think everybody just kind of decided to drown a lot of that stuff out because everybody was turning on each other for everything, and there was this huge focus on political correctness, and people just got burnt out. And that's the other thing. They talked about it on Tommy Sotomayor's show, and he mentioned that sometimes when you're just recording, you're not thinking about what you're saying, and you just say it, and then all of a sudden later on people play it for you, and you're like, what did I say?
When people play what I say a lot of things, and then when they play it back to me, I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just laughing at what I said because sometimes if I'm speaking in the moment, and I think that's what the internet has done. Well, a lot of times you're speaking in the moment, unless it's scripted, you're just speaking in the moment and you're not thinking you're going to cause a stir.
And I've done things like that. I usually leave them in because I think they're funny, and my channel is part comedy. It's commentary and comedy. So I don't mind when I do it, but sometimes I do look at things I say and I'm like, okay, well, that was a little bit crazy, but it's fun, so I'm going to leave it in. And she even addresses that when she answers.
Be honest
Right.
with me. Did you think you were going to cause a stir with this video, or were you just making a video?
I was just making a video. I mean, I was talking about gold diggers.
Yeah, and some people would say it was her intention, but even if it was, why give her more attention if that's what she intended on getting? You're playing into her game. You're feeding her. But nobody will ever see it that way. People will get mad at me and be like, how dare you? And it's like, okay, well then continue promoting people because that's what you're doing.
It's like it had nothing to do with race. It's just kind of like slipped out because, you know, that's I guess I'm not Gen Z, but that's kind of the slang of my age category. So it's not like anything weird. Like I hear everybody say that.
See, that's the way these kids talk. And so if you're an older person and you're offended by it, stop paying attention to the young kids. That stuff isn't being made for us right now. I watch all of it because I find most things entertaining. So I'm pretty open to everything. But it's just a lot of things don't cross my path because of the things that I personally pay attention to. But things like this, when they get sent to me, I either laugh or ignore them. If something really gets on my nerves, I just ignore it. Like that Billy Porter situation, I think he's just desperate for attention. I don't know if you guys saw, but he like kissed Joe Biden's hand on the Juneteenth celebration, and people are upset with that because one, a black man shouldn't kiss a white man's hand, and I understand when people say that, like it is a bad look. But then on top of that, he's going to be playing a black historic figure that wouldn't go for that, and I can't remember the name of it. I wish I could remember it right now, but I just can't. I'll post it right here. But people are mad about that, and I just feel like, yeah, Billy Porter is desperate for attention no matter what. So I'm not going to feed that. I don't care. I'm mentioning it here as a side thing because nobody's going to pay attention to this part anyway. But for me, it's like I'm not getting upset about things I don't care about. I don't care. I'm not going to make a Billy Porter episode because I just think he's too thirsty all the time.
So I didn't think anything of it. I just kind of like flowed out, and then it just turned into a whole firestorm. But yeah, that was not my intention.
And at a point, everything can't be racist, homophobic, transphobic. We can't always be up in arms about every single thing that bothers somebody that probably isn't even connected to this girl, doesn't know anything about her. She says she didn't plan for it to be such a big deal, but once it became a big deal, she just didn't want to back down, because in this day and age, people don't just let it go. If she had just apologized right away, they still would have ruined her life.
When you come out and tell the liberal left that you are sorry, they don't back down. They put you through hell and you still lose everything. So why not stick with what you say, especially if, like you said, you don't think you did anything wrong.
And people are tired of watching other people's lives get ruined over what would be small mistakes.
Did you notice that you got more of an uptick from either dropping the video or an uptick from standing your ground, as they say, standing on business? Which one do you think you got the most feedback from?
Probably the first video, obviously, but then you could tell the tide slightly turned whenever I doubled down a little bit. Like, I guess people can sense weakness if you give into them or you apologize or whatever. But if you're not sorry and you stand your ground, like, people, what else are they going to do? So, I mean, there wasn't much of an uptick. It was still like the crazy people that were commenting on all the other ones were going nuts on this. But yeah, I think it was, I think it had somewhat of a positive. I had more DMs of like, oh wow, I'm glad you like stood your ground.
And I know some of you are going to say the N-word isn't a small mistake. And it's like, at this point, it really is. You've got Cardi B saying it. You had Tekashi 6ix9ine saying it. I mean, if it were even as exclusive, which I still don't think would be right, but if it was just as exclusive as only black people are allowed to say it, then at least people would be clear on that. But people give out N-word passes all the time. Nobody seems to mind. And the people in the black community that get mad at this kind of stuff are always like, definitely not invited to the cookout. Well, it's gotten to the point where nobody fun is allowed at the cookout anyway. So why would anybody want to go to the cookout? You know how many times I've said things that have gotten me disinvited to the cookout? And at this point, for the record, I have had my cookout privileges restored. I'm sure somebody will take them away after this video, but I don't care about being at the cookout. I'll take myself where I want to go, and I don't have to be invited there. And that's what has happened with these kinds of situations, is that nobody is cool enough anymore to make it so that you want to be a part of their crowd. So when a girl like this says something like that, you can try to ruin her life, which they already did. Dox her. They found out where she worked. She got fired from her job. Everybody was acting like that was a win, not understanding that this was only going to make her bigger to the people that want to support her. It only makes her bigger for the people that do think that everybody should be able to say that word. I personally do not use that word, and I don't necessarily like when my friends do use that word. But do I have friends that use that word? Most definitely. Am I going to take that up like it's my cause? Most definitely not. If I don't even fight with people over the things that should trigger me as being gay, LGBT, Mexican American, Latino, all of that stuff that I could latch onto and be like, this is so offensive, I don't. So if I don't do that for me, I'm sorry, but I'm not doing that for you either. And I know that that will really bother some people, but I'm just not at that point in my life anymore where I care that much about other people's feelings. So when you want me to be secondhand upset for a group of people that I'm not even a part of, and I don't think that she was using it in a racist way. I feel like she was just using it like the kids use it now. And I have talked about this on stage before. I go with people's intentions rather than their words. People can use almost any word they want around me or about me, and if I know they have the right intentions and they're not trying to be offensive, I just let it slide. I don't care. So maybe that's where I'm different from a lot of people, but I don't think that that's a trait about myself that I should change to be more sensitive. I think in that way, more people should take the attitude I have, because you'd have a happier life. I make commentary videos about things that are current events, and I'll tell you guys what I kind of see, because I usually am good at predicting trends and what's happening. And I made this video because I truly do feel that a lot of people need to brace themselves, because in the coming years, there's going to be an overcorrection for what we had from 2015 to 2022, where we were supposed to be worried about everybody's feelings, where people are just going to be like, yeah, I don't care about anybody's feelings. I'm just going to say what I feel like saying. And some people are going to try to resort to to violence over it, I don't think society is going to stand for that. I think people are going to be like, words are words, and we're all allowed to say words. And you can say that there's going to be consequences to people's speech. Should there really be consequences? I mean, anything that's legal, go for it. But as far as not legal, and she says something very important when she says,
we need to all speak our mind because they can't fire everybody, you know?
it's no secret people are having trouble filling jobs as it is anyway. So what are you going to do? Are you going to fire every single person? Because I think a lot of people are going to start following suit. Oh, and when they got her fired from her job, the owner of the company that she worked for, which was, I think, a non-medical assisted living facility is the way they described it. So an old folks home, but not necessarily providing medical treatment. And the woman that owns that is a Jamaican immigrant. And people weren't satisfied with the fact that she fired her. I guess they were trying to harass her because she had hired her in the first place.
You mentioned you got fired from your job. Do you care to expand on this?
I technically I'm on a leave right now, but you know, I would rather not really go into it just because it's kind of, you know, one of those things where it's not all the way solidated, and it's no hate against my employer. She's an amazing person, and the hate that she's been getting, because she's a Jamaican immigrant. She's a single mom. She's an amazing, amazing woman, and I have nothing but respect for her. And the hate that she's been getting, that's so stupid. Like the people who think they're all about, you know, oh, let's not disrespect Black people or whatever. And here they are trying to destroy a Black woman's life.
Which, how could this woman, the owner, know that she was going to make that kind of video? That was the first time that she had done anything that was inflammatory like that. And it really is expecting a lot of a person to be able to see the future and know that she was going to say something. And once she said that she had fired her, I think that it should have been over. They put out an official statement saying that she'd been fired, and then they continue to harass the woman. And it's like, okay, if you claim to love people of color, then why would you continue to harass a Black woman that is just trying to run a business? And I think the reason that this girl is getting so much support isn't about racism. I think it really is about the fact that the average, even halfway intelligent person can see that this girl is not racist, is not coming from a racist point of view, but is being treated as if she is racist.
And if we're all just saying exactly what we want and we're unapologetic and we don't let people force us to say this and, you know, command us to do this and force us to disavow that, no, have some self-respect and have some backbone and stand up for what you said, you know, and double down.
Mm-hmm. And I hate that there's only certain groups of people who get to not only speak a certain way, but they get cheered for it when using the term like unapologetic. They get to say whatever they feel, or the term my truth. They get to say what they feel and they get to label it as their truth, and everyone has to hear it.
And it is true. There are certain people that are allowed to say absolutely anything they want. And then there's other people that just have to watch everything they say and have to be especially careful because this group might get offended or that group might get offended. And it's like either all of us can have freedom of speech or none of us can have freedom of speech. And I am 100% for all of us having freedom of speech. I mean, daily you'll see me talk on videos about LGBT issues and the way that I think they're messing up. You think LGBT people don't get in my comments and try to talk shit to me? Of course they do. But I just don't care anymore. And I think it's clear that she's not racist by the way that she responds when they ask her about her job. And she mentions that she'd rather not go into that because she doesn't want the owner of the business, who is a Black immigrant from Jamaica, to suffer any repercussions about it or the way that it was handled. I think if she were racist, I think she would have went ahead and threw that woman under the bus and said that she doesn't think that it's right that she fired her and whatever else, but she didn't go that route at all. And yeah, you may not be comfortable with white people using that word, and if you decide to make your life all about ruining this girl's life or making sure that she understands whatever it is you think she's supposed to understand, by all means, do whatever you want to do. But I'm just saying the days of the mob seem to be over. I could be wrong. I really don't think I am, though, because when I scanned the comments of the Shade Room or Neighborhood Talk TikTok, in the comments, there were a lot of black people, or at least it was black people in their default pic, that were just saying she's standing on business. There were even other black people, it seemed, that were on the thread that were like, you guys just want to make everything racist. And some people were like, does anybody want anything from the store? I'm going, like, it was comments like that. It was very like nobody seems to care. And I think that that's what's happening with everything, is that nobody cares. And so if you as an older person want to hold on to that and make your life all about that, have at it. But I really feel like having a groundswell of people that are going to join in with you is not going to be the way that it works out on this one. This girl is fun to watch. I've watched a couple of interviews with her. I'm not saying I'm going to be a fan. I'm not saying I'm following everything she does. I'm just saying that she has a likable enough personality that I think she will be able to withstand this. And if she's smart and she gets a little more media savvy, she'll probably be able to turn this into a career. She already said in a comment that she was becoming a right-wing correspondent and thanked the black people for helping her out like the puppets they are. That was something that was attributed to her. I don't know if she actually said that, but if she said that, that would make sense. And it would also be a funny clapback where it's just like, yeah, you guys turned me into this because you guys made it such a big deal. And if you pay attention to her Twitter, she has not learned her lesson. If that's what you were doing, was trying to teach her a lesson, because she's using the N-word all through her Twitter. She even referred to it as the N-word that was heard around the world, and she didn't say N-word. She's still using the A though, but she's standing on it. And I have to say, while I may not agree, like I said, with non-black people saying that word, she stands by what she says, and I respect it. And I know some of you are going to be like, there's no way to say that word as a white person and have it not be in a racist context. I'm sorry, but I've heard too many black people give too many white and non-black people N-word passes for me to really buy that. I know that some people do not care. And then some people were saying, well, when somebody finds her in the streets, that kind of thing. And it's like, okay, well, I guess if that's what you want to do and that's what you want to reduce yourself to over a word that somebody said that wasn't even used in a racist context, I guess you can do that. But when there are legal ramifications, I don't want to hear anybody complaining or saying, I'm having a GoFundMe because I'm trying to pay for the legal fees to deal with this. That's what you get for being triggered by words. I don't remember who said it, but not too long ago, somebody said, whatever triggers you owns you. And why would you want to be owned by anything? And I really do subscribe to that same thinking. Why would you want words to have such power over you? And the other thing I don't think people realize is that when you do this to these people and make them lose their jobs, and don't get mad at me for saying it, because I'm just telling you how this works. Some of you get mad at me like I'm making it so things work like this. I don't make it so things work like this. I can just tell you how this works because it's already happened to a large degree with this particular person. Is you turn her into the underdog. So then once people see her as the underdog, this country loves to help out an underdog. And I know some of you will be like, she's a white woman and she's privileged. That too. People are tired of hearing about white privilege. People are tired of hearing about how certain people are always going to be victims and certain people are always going to be the oppressors. Especially when the left has a way of doing this racial gerrymandering. You see it happen with Dave Chappelle all the time, where people will get mad at him. People from the left, the woke, will get mad at Dave Chappelle and they'll be like, well, he doesn't really count as a black person anymore because he's a millionaire. And once people become millionaires, well, I hate to tell you as a person of color, but no matter how much money you make, you're still a person of color. So I don't know why you guys think that that would be a smart play. Oh, that's why you do it. Because then that's a way around your own rules and then you can disagree with people of color. Well, how about we all just accept that at this point, we are all Americans. We all have a right to say what we want to say. This girl, her Twitter, her social media in general, is not government mandated watching. Nobody's forcing you to pay attention to her or hang on her every word. forward, you are completely 100% in charge of your online life. You can either choose to watch something or choose not to watch it. You can either choose to read something or choose not to read it. Like, I've been very clear about the fact that I don't mind people disagreeing with me down below in my comments. That's a part of what they're for. But if you get truly disrespectful with me, I'll just delete your comment. Because while I 100% agree you have a right to freedom of speech, I don't necessarily have to listen to it. I don't necessarily have to promote it. And I don't necessarily have to allow it in my comment section. Sometimes I just let things go because I'm like, I don't care. Let them say whatever. But sometimes when people get what I consider truly disrespectful, I'm like, I'm not here for that. I'm deleting your comment. And that's something each and every one of us has a right to do. We have a right to curate what it is we watch and see and read online, on TV, almost anywhere except for in real life. In real life, some things can get sprung on you that you're not ready for, not ready to see. But when it comes to online, which is where people get the most outraged, it really is like, well, then why did you choose to watch that? Who forced you to watch that? Tell me who forced you to watch that, and let's do something about that. Because if somebody is literally forcing you to watch something, I don't know if they're holding your eyes open like Clockwork Orange or something, or what the claim is, but you are in charge of what you choose to watch. Why are you mad at anybody else about it? I'm not sure why this is such a big deal. Marlon Wayans is going through a thing right now where he posted a picture of him with a pride flag, and some people are mad at him because he said he supports the LGBT community, and he said that he was told by his trans child that he is a cis male. People are mad at him for that. Well, I don't agree with the word cis or the term cis. I don't describe myself as cis. I don't describe other people as cis. But if that's the way Marlon Wayans chooses to identify and he subscribes to that thinking, I'm not going to pretend like that's a big deal to me. I don't watch Marlon Wayans stuff anyway. And that's not an insult to Marlon Wayans. I'm actually really good friends with his niece, Shantae Wayans, who is a lesbian comedian, and we're friends. I haven't seen her in a while, but we're actual friends. Like, I love Shantae Wayans. And so, that's her uncle. I respect him like I would respect any other friend's uncle. I'm not going to say anything bad about him, but I say it because I wasn't really his target demographic anyway. So why should he be trying to please me, who's a person that never used to watch him anyhow? What does it matter if I say I'll never watch Marlon Wayans again? Again? I was never watching him to begin with. So how can I hold that as a threat over him? I'm not money that he's losing. Right now you have that happening with Caitlin Clark as well, which Caitlin Clark, to me, now that's a person that's kind of being railroaded because she is a straight white woman and has really made a splash in the WNBA, which was getting no attention before she turned into the splash that she turned into. And now people are mad at her because some of the players that happen to be lesbian women of color, mostly black women if we're being honest about it, black studs that are playing in the WNBA, feel like it's not fair that this white woman just came along, and they don't think it's fair that she should be getting this much attention. They don't see it as now she's bringing attention to our league and that could possibly get all of us more money and give us all a chance to shine. No, instead they're choosing to bully her. They've mocked her on the court. There was a week or so ago where she got a foul that a lot of people thought was a cheap shot, and by doing that, people turned her into the underdog. So then people started flooding the comments of the players that were doing it, which happened to be black women, and they were saying the kinds of things that the internet is going to say, which you can't tell people on the internet not to be racist, not to be homophobic, not to be transphobic, not to be xenophobic, or whatever else you think they're doing. The internet is going to internet, and that's what it is. So when these players turn Caitlin Clark into the underdog, and then people start standing up for her online, which is what people do, and then you don't like the way they came at you, well, they don't like the way you came at her. So why is it okay for you to voice the way you feel and your displeasure, but then when people express the same to you, suddenly that's a problem? And so now Caitlin Clark, who was asked about it and originally just said that she's paying attention to basketball. That's what she's focused on. That's not good enough for some people. Some people want her to apologize for the people that are speaking up for her, which she's not in charge of that. So it even got to a point where one of the other players that mocked her at a point, called her out, and the way she called her out was in a tweet. That player's name is Dejanay Carrington, and she put, "Dog, how one cannot be bothered by their name being used to justify racism, bigotry, misogyny, xenophobia, homophobia, and the intersectionalities of them all is nuts. We all see this shit. We all have a platform. We all have a voice, and they all hold weight. Silence is a luxury." Maybe she doesn't want to use her voice for that. Maybe she doesn't feel bad for whatever anybody's telling you, or possibly, and this may not occur to you, possibly she really is just concentrating on basketball and not at all paying attention to social media, and that's why she's making headlines and you're jealous. Maybe it's because she's keeping her eyes on the prize and what she actually needs to be paying attention to and not worried about what people are saying on social media. Maybe she's got the same attitude that I do and feels like the internet's gonna do what it's gonna do with or without her. But now she's been called on to apologize for people that she doesn't know. I could understand these players' points if she had at any point said, "You guys stand up for me. You guys get out there and make it known that you're not going to watch me be bullied." She has done none of that. So with her having done none of that, how is she responsible for whatever it is these people are saying? Maybe you should stop showing the worst sides of yourselves and wondering why you're not getting the best of others. That would be what I would think. Not suddenly now you're the victim and somebody owes you an apology. An apology for what? Because you put out a certain energy and you got that same energy back? If people are mad at her because she's white and straight and came in and got all the attention, is that not discriminatory thinking? Is she not allowed to be white and straight and great at this particular sport? Anyway, let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be annoyed with me for this one, but I don't have time for it. I do not care. I have been this way for a long time. That's why this says 100% unbothered right behind me. It's because I really can't be bothered with the people that got mad at me. Not too long ago, people got mad at me because I let it be known that I was a Trump supporter, which I've been a Trump supporter since 2015 when he first came down that escalator, and I lost some subscribers over it. I did not care. Go somewhere else. There are a billion people on this platform that aren't me. Go watch them. I'm not going to apologize for feeling the way I feel or expressing myself the way that I express myself as an American. There are certain guidelines that we have to follow here on YouTube. As long as I follow those, I'm Gucci. So have your feelings. Enjoy your day. This has been Ty Rivera, the absolute best LGBTQ comedian in the world.